All right, all health challenges can be simplified down to three things. I know it's too good to be true, but I'm telling you, this can be applied to any health challenge, doesn't matter what it is, okay? And when we simplify, guess what? That means we can be more successful. Anything that you can make more simple, think of success. Simple success, really important, okay? I'll go over those with you today, break them down, and then you can get to work and get healthy. Hi, I'm Dr. Jason McCammon, board certified naturopathic doctor. So getting right to it, the three categories with which all health challenges fall under, okay? And it's gonna be toxicity, deficiency, and sensitivities. Those three things, okay? And let's break it down, okay? Because again, you're like, that's it? Yeah, that's it, really. But remember, each of those can expand quite a bit. And oftentimes, we have more issues in one area than another, okay? And your job is to connect with a clinician that can figure that out for you, because on your own, it is very difficult, especially with now there's so much great information out there. I mean, really, there truly is, and so many great companies. How do you know what works for you? How do you know? Trial and error, that could take years. It could also be dangerous if you're trying things that aren't right for you. So let's not do that, okay? Let's get with a clinician that you resonate with and that makes sense, their approach, and get after some of these things, okay? Let's get into it. So let's start with toxicity, probably one of the biggest categories of all. Let's talk first about your internal environment. So, you know, there's a saying you probably heard before. If not, you know, welcome. That you have to be the change you want to see in the world. If you want a less chaotic environment, you want more calm, more peace, you have to create that here first. It can't be out here. I'm telling you, you can't wait for there to be peace and calm and quiet. And oh, when this happens, I'll be, no. You don't understand. You have to be that change first. So your internal environment, your mindset has to come first before you do anything. External environment, of course, the people that you're around, okay? You are where you are for a reason. And most people are where they are because of their choices. I know that may be a little bit insensitive, but let's talk about real, guys. Let's be real. You are usually where you are because of your individual choices. So if you're around people that are toxic, stop being around people that are toxic. I know you can't just do that tomorrow morning, but work toward that, right? Get out from under toxic people, get away from it. If you have trouble with that, if you're around narcissistic people and you're an empath, then get some professional help. You can do it. I believe in you, okay? Get some people around you on your team, though, that can empower you. Xenobiotics, okay? Xenobiotics are all the chemicals just in one big old group, okay? And we're going to talk about a few of them. There's 250,000 that have been identified in medical literature, but pesticides, additives in food like preservatives, endocrine disruptors that are like phthalates, okay? Nasty chemicals that in and of themselves, individually, probably not a big deal for the body, but we're dealing with thousands and thousands and thousands of these, okay? Xenobiotics are a huge toxic burden on the body. Actually, it's in scientific literature now called body burden. They actually have a name for that now. I found this like 15 years ago before it was really a thing, and people would look at me like sideways, like, I'm telling you, this is a thing, and it's a thing. Mycotoxins, that's a fancy term for molds, parasites, protozoa, and Lyme co-infections, okay? I have a modality that I can test you on here in my clinic, and I can figure out if you've got some of these, for example, co-infections with Lyme. Often Lyme goes undetected because of a lot of the blood studies just don't show it accurately, or these little creatures, these little critters are really smart. They can hide from the immune system and be very hard to detect, okay? And oftentimes I found in people that clients we have never suspected to have Lyme or Lyme co-infections, and there they are, right? But otherwise, how do you know that these things are hanging out in your body? It's really difficult. Again, you can do stool testing, you can do blood. These things can be done, but oftentimes they're hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands of dollars, and they don't catch everything, okay? There are tests that I do here in the clinic that we can find out exactly what's going on in your body. So we've got to investigate that. Mycotoxin toxicity is huge, not just the actual physical presence of the toxin, of the mycotoxin, but remember, they are going to be in your body. They have their own ecosystem. They're going to defecate and give off other chemicals in your body. Sometimes what they give off is worse than the presence of themselves being there, okay? So they can make you very sick. Heavy metals, I'm sure you've heard of that by now. And you might not have been around, again, a factory or any place that you might think, I've never been around there. I couldn't possibly be toxic with heavy metals. Well, they come from a lot of places you may not realize. The air we breathe, jewelry, tattoos, amalgams in the mouth. I still have lots of clients that still have old school amalgams from 20, 30 years ago. And don't run to your dentist and get those taken out. We got to talk about that. You got to be very careful. They can cause very big illness if you do that wrong. But anyway, heavy metals are everywhere. And again, people that I'm testing in clinic that you would have never thought would have had heavy metals, they've got heavy metals. So we have to start taking off the bias, right? And just because they don't work in like the factory making Harleys or something, that they're not going to have heavy metals in their body, okay? And keep in mind too, a lot of our systems for recycling and removing the metals, we have a natural system for that, by the way. If you have small amounts over time, you should be able to get rid of them. However, those elimination systems are broken. So even a small amount of metals, if you bioaccumulate over the years, even a tiny amount, they'll continue to build. Whereas, maybe if you were healthier, had better elimination and better methylation, which is chelating those, getting out of the body, that you'd be fine, okay? But remember, if you have a health challenge, those pathways aren't working. That's the definition of a health challenge. Those pathways cannot be working or you would not be sick or have those issues, okay? And finally, for toxicity medications, people forget, and this is medical literature, okay? This is published data, all right? So don't shoot the messenger here. There are several papers out there that say under the direction of a conventional provider, it may be the third leading cause of death. I kid you not. That's medical literature. That's not me saying this. That is actually in the science. I would never tell you guys something that wasn't scientifically backed ever. I'm an evidence-based clinician. So medications have massive side effects, and most clinicians do not inform you of these side effects. If you read the package insert, they are probably there, most of them, and it will blow you away what these things can cause. And we won't get into this right now, okay? But there are drugs that should not be approved that were approved for various reasons I won't get into, but they're super toxic. They should not even be on the market. All right, so we've got to look at those things. That's toxicity. You can see that's a big bucket of stuff that we have to look at, probably one of the biggest. Next is deficiency. You have macronutrient deficiency, macronutrient, protein, carbs, fats, basically the major caloric substances that we consume every day. An example that's more common than not is essential fatty acid deficiency, where either you're not getting in the right fats in your diet or you're not able to break them down. That's more the case as the latter. Most people get enough fat, sometimes not the right fat, but we can easily fix that. But the more difficult part is, are you emulsifying the fats in your diet, which means breaking them to small little particles so they can be packed into what's called cryomicrons so they can circulate your blood. Remember, we're a water-based being. And then we have lipids coming in the body. They have to be in a special structure to get them to flow through our blood. You do have some taken up by the lymphatic system, and others are in the blood. Again, we have to have that broken down correctly. If you have a weak gallbladder, and by the way, you might not even have any pain in your gallbladder or even have it removed, you can still have a very sluggish, poor functioning gallbladder. That's something I can check and find out, and we can fix that. But then you can't get your EFAs, your essential fatty acids, digested. Guess what? If we can't get EFAs in the body, we can't get good brain health. Our brain tissues don't work. Our joint tissues, our cell membranes don't work. We can't make the right neurotransmitters in the brain. They depend on fats. We can't make steroids, which are going to be for testosterone, estrogen, and all that, cortisol. So that's big. But again, just popping a few capsules from some highly rated product on Amazon is not going to get it done. You got to know why your body can't handle fats properly and then fix that root cause. It's really important. Another big one is even carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are, for most people, are essential, and some other folks, though, they are toxic. We almost all need carbohydrates. I don't recommend extreme cases maybe, but I don't recommend going keto or really low carb. Even if you don't handle carbs well, you need some. But again, we have to dial in what type of carbohydrates your body needs. Again, you can be deficient or toxic in carbohydrates, okay? Micronutrients, another deficiency. You have major ones like calcium, magnesium, potassium. Again, not uncommon in the diet. You can almost eat a cardboard box and get some of those, yes. Are they the right form, though, for your body? Number one. Number two, there's this thing called utilization, okay? And I have testing to figure out, is it a true deficiency where you need a lot of it in your diet, or do you already have it present, but it's not bioavailable to the cell? I have testing to figure that out, or find a clinician that can do that, because you don't need to take extra calcium and waste money and potentially lead to laying down in your arteries, okay? If you take too much, that's possible, or you raise your risk of kidney stones, but you've got to find a way to know if it's utilization or if you actually have a true deficiency. Another deficiency is going to be micronutrients in regards to trace minerals. There are 70, 80, 90 by in some texts of trace minerals, and guess what? It doesn't matter how whole you're eating. In fact, I just had a client start up with me the other day who was extremely frustrated. She's in her 40s and has eaten clean most of her life, but yet battled her weight most of her life. And she is so frustrated because she'll eat really clean and she'll actually go up on the scale. Unbelievably frustrating. And I feel for her, being a Hashimoto's survivor myself. I totally been through that cycle. It's unbelievable. You just want to pull your hair out. You just want to quit because it's so frustrating because you're doing what everybody says to do, which is eat clean. My point is, her body cannot utilize the clean foods that she's taking in for these reasons we're going over today. So I found those, identified them, and we've got her on a plan to fix that. So she's going to feel better in no time. Anyway, trace minerals are huge because, again, our food, even a whole food, is grown in pretty much sand nowadays. Okay, it's just not the same food it was 100 years ago. You're just not going to get the same nutrition. We can't fool ourselves to think we can just eat clean like our great grandpappy, grandmammy, and we'll be okay. Sorry, you're not. Unless you have a community-supported agriculture or co-op right in your backyard, or you grow your own food literally and you can control the soil and all that. I mean, most of us can't do that, okay? And another big deficiency is not just are you drinking enough water, but that's big. Hydration is big. We overlook that sometimes, but the type of water. Some people need certain types of water more than others to get in the cell. Certain types of water help carry the nutrients in the cell and carry waste out. That's really important. So it's not just getting water, which is number one, but can your cells utilize it? That's big. And then finally, to wrap up the three main kind of columns here, or categories of all health issues, and that's sensitivities, okay? Once you get healthy and the immune system has a proper response, sensitivities should go away, okay? It can take time. It can take a year or more. And I've been there. I've dealt with many, personally and professionally, hundreds of clients. But we've got to remove the foods from your diet that are a known sensitivity. How do we do that? You can do elimination diet, which is painstaking, takes a lot of effort, it's very, very difficult, or you can get clinical testing, which we offer here. In fact, I have a device I can do in my office and find this out. This non-invasive, you don't even draw blood. It's really cool, very accurate. But we can figure out either way. You've got to figure out what your sensitivities are. You've got to remove those. You got to give your immune system a break, and then we can reintroduce them once we heal. And again, your immune system is at a better place. You can eat whatever, again, almonds, broccoli, whatever it is, right? Oftentimes, many people are sensitive to things that are whole foods that they've read on internet articles that their doctor tells them to eat this or that because it's healthy. Well, it's only healthy if it's healthy to you. Does that make sense? If it's toxic to your body, no matter what some guru says about it, it's a toxin to you. You got to remove it. And that may be just something we have to walk through for the first 3 to 6 months. But then again, as people heal, we can always reintroduce later, and we'll see how you do. Most people do really well after they've healed their body and done the work it takes. Another big one you might not think of is what's called geopathics. Geopathic stress or sensitivities are going to be things like 5G. And again, there's no conspiracy theory there, guys. 5G, internet, and with all the cell phone signals is super powerful, okay? You may hear that everybody says, oh, it's fine. Okay. Everything has toxicity at some level, right? Even water, for God's sake. Marathon runners die every year of drinking too much water, believe it or not, during a marathon. It's water, right? Well, 5G is a lot more complicated than water, and it's in a lot more places than you may realize, and you may be highly sensitive to it. What does that matter? Well, because your body is a big circuit, a bunch of electrical signals constantly going back and forth like this, vibration, certain frequencies. When it has trouble communicating because of an outside force like a 5G signal, it can't do its normal processes. It's going to have dysfunction, and that can look like, brain fog, headaches, autoimmune disorders, gut problems, all kinds of stuff, anxiety, depression. That's what it may look like, even though you don't realize it's 5G. I'm just saying it's possible. It could be. I have a way of figuring out if that's a problem for you. Another one is EMF, electromagnetic frequency. It's a very generic term, EMF. In the sense I'm using it is stray voltage or stray electrons. These are we're bathed in these, like any wire running through a wall, your cell phone, anything electronic that's been powered, even things with batteries, but more likely things, getting powered by, your 110, 220 in the wall, emit stray electrons and they pass through us, okay? And again, they can mess with our DNA methylation. They can mess with some of these pathways for us to build new healthy cells or communicate on what we should be doing, our biorhythm. It's a big time disruptor of sleep. So these are some sensitivities that who knows if you're sensitive to them or not. One thing I can tell you, I highly recommend getting on some type of grounding either a mat at work. I use a sheet that I sleep on. It's been awesome. It's really helped. I can really tell the difference. But basically, a grounding sheet or grounding mat, something that can ground you. And this physician, Laura Carniver, MD, had done some great work. I highly recommend you check her out. Again, Laura Carniver with a K, and she has found medical studies since the 20s showing that the Earth has a biorhythm to it. It actually has been studied, scientifically by physicists, not doctors, but actual physicists have noted that the Earth has a frequency to it. And when they did the data and looked at the human body, guess what? We are like a light that should be plugged into the socket to connect to the rest of the house. Okay, you know how you plug your light into a socket, and then it's obviously connected to the circuit, and your circuit's connected to the grid, and then the power goes through. It becomes a system. Guess what? Your body has an exact same system, but with the Earth. It's incredible. And then again, this is medical physicians we're talking about, and modern science. It's not hippie stuff, guys. This is real. This is here today. So kind of think about maybe doing some grounding. A little piece of advice there that you can do that can benefit any condition that you have whatsoever. But to wrap up, the 3 major categories that you must address to get in charge of your health issues, okay, to break through: toxicity, deficiency, and sensitivities, especially to food. You've got to break through those. You got to work with somebody who can walk you through those and tell you, okay, here's the priorities that we need to work on first, secondary, tertiary. You got to have a program to work through that. It's just too difficult to do the trial and error and do the guesswork on your own. So I highly recommend you find somebody qualified to work through these and start feeling better soon. Okay? Awesome. So check out my website when you get a minute there, drjasonnd.com, and look for that Vibrant Health Breakthrough ebook. Check that out. Use all that stuff in there. I wrote that to help you start to improve your life and to feel better. Okay? So let me know what you think about that when you get a minute. And in the meantime, take care. God bless. Bye-bye.